Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Kentucky lawmakers make some changes to a bill to try and give schools a bit more security. And another bill is being discussed, possibly putting some restrictions on what students can learn while in the classroom.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning to you. It's Wednesday and it's 6:32. I'm Dakota Makris. Thanks so much for getting your day started. And it's almost the weekend. We just have a few more days and then we're heading towards the weekend. All right, let's head over to Brandon for a look of our forecast. And right now it's all calm, but you might need that umbrella and rain jacket just a little bit later if you're out and about. But right now it's all good to go.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we'll hold off on the rain chances until we get at least closer to dark or just after dark. But everybody won't see that. It's kind of a weak disturbance coming through, but it is going to bring some colder air, at least briefly. Let's take a look at the temperatures this morning. Not as cold as they have been, but some spots like Jonesville and Harlan and Middlesboro, Jacksboro, all in those 20s and teens there. A little bit colder than usual, but other areas in the 30s and 40s this morning. So again, very mild start to the day. So a normal day on the coffee meter, you might need a little extra in some of those areas there down to the south where it's a little bit cooler. 12-hour planner for today, sunrise 7:29, sunset 6:06. And we're going to see temperatures top out in the upper 50s a little bit later on this afternoon. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. Well, 21-year-old Jackson Baker of Gays Creek is facing criminal charges after an alleged incident at the ARH Psychiatric Center in Hazard was reported to police. Baker is accused of first-degree sexual abuse and unlawful imprisonment. An attorney for the victim says his client is a 25-year-old intellectually disabled girl that was seeking treatment for suicidal thoughts. The assault allegedly took place during the course of an hour in a room at the facility and was investigated by the Hazard Police Department.
At the conclusion of that investigation, determined that there was probable cause to make an arrest.
Well, Baker was scheduled for arraignment Tuesday, but it was postponed until March 8th. An attorney for the victim says he is out on a $5,000 bond and under house arrest until his court date. ARH officials tell us they cannot comment on an active police investigation. State police are continuing to investigate a sexual assault case involving a dog in Breathitt County. Troopers tell us they arrested and charged 30-year-old Andrew Bennett with one count of sexual crimes against an animal. He is waiting for his preliminary hearing, which could be later this week or early next week.
Depends on how lengthy the court process takes. There'll be several steps, a preliminary hearing, and then on possibly a jury trial if that goes that far. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, we are told the dog named Hope received treatment and is being cared for by the group Aspire Appalachia. Two state lawmakers filed a bill that would eliminate the statute of limitations for victims of child sexual abuse. The legislation is headed by State Senator Morgan McGarvey and Representative Lisa Wilner and would allow civil cases to be filed at any time. Now, Senator McGarvey says this bill was brought to him by a constituent who was severely abused as a child. Representative Wilner says there is no reason for the law to impose an arbitrary time limit on disclosures.
The goal of our legislation is to make sure that those abused as children have every opportunity to file civil claims against their abusers or people who may have helped the abusers in any way as part of their healing process.
Well, psychologists say Kentucky is the #1 state in the county per capita when it comes to child sex abuse crimes. A former Kentucky police recruiter is suing KSP and the Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet for defamation. Captain Michael Webb says he was unfairly representative and reassigned due to the January 6th Capitol riot. The Lexington Herald Leader reports his attorneys say Webb was sightseeing in Washington, D.C. the day of the riot, but was not involved. Attorneys told the Herald Leader Webb has suffered post-traumatic stress, depression, and anxiety after being reassigned. Now, an internal KSP investigation last February cleared Webb of any wrongdoing. Kentucky lawmakers are altering a school police bill. A House Education Committee passed House Bill 63 on Tuesday. It would require school police on each campus, and it gets rid of a loophole allowing districts to not hire officers if funding or staffing is not available. Some criticism of the change came from two citizens who told lawmakers that more officers in schools is not the answer to the problems facing students.
Representative, you talked about what Manny did in Lexington, but he did that in conjunction with mental health therapists. Our children are traumatized. They were traumatized before the pandemic, and it is worse now.
And if you listen to the voices of the kids who have been through recent school shootings, those students have been screaming out for different types of changes and reforms that deal with what happens to them in school, but none of them are screaming for SROs.
Well, the bill passed through committee with all but 3 representatives voting yes. SB 138 was introduced in committee last week. It would make some curriculum restrictions and provide a list of approved historical readings to be embedded in public, middle, and high school instruction. It would be called the Teaching American Principles Act, but opponents say Senate Bill 138 whitewashes American history and its backstory of racism.
It seems like it's a political issue that certain candidates have found success playing on fears about this, even though it's not being taught in schools. And now others are trying to do the same. From our perspective, SB 138 is a bad solution to a problem that does not exist.
Now, the bill does set standards for schools providing instruction consistent with a list of concepts, including all individuals are created equal, entitled to equal protection under the law, and deserves to be treated on the basis of character, not race or gender. In various parts of the U.S., people with developmental, intellectual, or behavioral disabilities are not offered a one-on-one individualized curriculum in public school setting, which can leave them without the skills they need to thrive in the real world. That is where a New Beginning Achievement Center in Somerset steps in. WYMT's Alyssa Williams has more.
Inspired by the new beginnings she sought out in her own life, Rachel Jenkins of Somerset created a New Beginning Achievement Center, which is dedicated to serving adults with intellectual, developmental, and behavioral diagnoses.
From not only just the students, but the people that work here, every single one of us that walk through these doors, we're all on a path of a new beginning.
The facility provides an individualized approach to learning and focuses on the needs of each student and the goals they would like to achieve.
Everybody is different. Everybody learns different. Everybody thinks different. And so the individualization is really what makes this program, I think, unique.
The center provides lessons on banking, driving, self-esteem, and even offers a vocational program that can teach students what it's like to work various jobs in a controlled environment.
So realistically, if we're able to narrow down on barriers here that exist for our students, we're able to kind of overcome those here in-house so they can hopefully avoid those out in the community.
Throughout all the services the center provides, Jenkins says she hopes the facility can help students realize that regardless of their diagnosis, they are enough.
So if I can be that for the people that walk in this building, and then they can walk out of this building and be that for somebody else, cool. And that's what it's worth.
Providing students with the skills they need to overcome anything that stands in their way. In Somerset, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Well, the team there is working on a What's Next program that will help provide subsidized housing and additional support to students who graduate from the center.
6:40 here on this Wednesday morning. Some cool temperatures out there, but not nearly as cool as they have been, at least in most areas. Still 19 in Jonesville, 25 in Harlan, 22 Middlesboro, 23 in Jacksboro. But everybody else is in the 30s and 40s this morning, with Irvin over in Estill County being our warm spot at 43. Southwest wind cranking in there, and that's going to bring us some warmer air in place later today, even with some cloud cover. So we're going to keep an eye out for that later today. But right now this morning, clear skies, calm conditions, and some sunshine to start our day out there. Temperatures will climb fast once the sun comes up. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you so much. The time is now 6:41. Still to come here on Mountain News this morning. 2 car manufacturers issue a recall for thousands of their SUVs after a few of them spontaneously catch fire. Well, that's next.